Hey folks, welcome back to Plant-Based News. There's been a lot of drama, a lot of gossip, a lot of rumours going on in the vegan and the plant-based community. Some say that these channels that spring up just to spread gossip and rumours will only be taken off air in the long run. One can only speculate on whether that's true, but the truth is drama, it dies down just as quickly as it springs up. And so we're here to share with you the progressive, plant-based stories happening around the globe that really mean that the vegan movement, the plant-based movement, is going in the right direction. I'm Greg from exmahealing.org, and let's find out what's been happening. In our first item, some pretty significant environmental issues are being addressed, are being taken on by some heavy hitters in the entertainment world. So this story concerns China. China currently consumes 28% of the world's meat and half of the world's pork. And following current trends, that is set to double, so the meat consumption in China is set to double by 2030. This has now been recognised by Chinese authorities as a problem both for the environment and for health, such that they've now launched a nationwide campaign to reduce the consumption of meat. This Chinese campaign has now attracted the backing from Arnie himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger, as well as James Cameron, the film producer famous for films like Titanic and Avatar.
Less meat, less heat, more life.
The number one thing that you can do is to just stop eating or cut down on your consumption of meat and dairy.
He's also the executive producer of The Game Changers, which is going to be a huge film all to do with the plant-based movement coming out next year. Arnold last year, 2015, at the Paris Climate Change Summit, he spoke out against meat consumption, raised it as an issue.
28% of the greenhouse gases come from eating meat and from raising cattle and all of those things, so we can do a much better job. So my friend James Cameron, who is a famous director, he recommends stop eating meat, and therefore we will be able to reduce this.
And do you agree with that?
Well, yeah, I think it is a good idea.
A plant-based diet has helped a Welsh powerlifter become third best in the world for his category. Matthew Jones is now third best in the world for his age and weight, and states that a plant-based diet, going vegan, has helped him achieve this. As a competitive weightlifter, Matthew can deadlift triple his own body weight, which is about 33 stone or about 210 kilograms. And he says his secret is rice, beans, nuts and seeds. The 24-year-old said he's been a meat eater his entire life, and he only went vegan in January when he started lifting competitively. Some of you will be fans of the heavy metal band Broken Hope. Jeremy Wagner, the founding member and guitarist, has recently given away his entire farm in Illinois to an animal rescue and rehab organisation. He left this note on his Facebook fan page. "Today I made the biggest donation of my life. I signed off and gave away my entire farm to the animal rescue rehab group I've been working with since I purchased the property last summer. I'm too busy to manage and enjoy the place, but it does my heart and soul good, knowing that I've now given a refuge and a paradise for many animals who will be given help and love and new homes for many years to come. Giving my farm away for free was a super huge sacrifice, but it was an awesome one, and it won't be the last time I do it." That's pretty inspirational. Well done, Jeremy Wagner. Next up, are Greenpeace finally starting to promote the vegan lifestyle? The environmentalist giant Greenpeace recently released this tweet. "If everyone ate vegan, food-related carbon emissions would fall by 70%. Is this a sign that Greenpeace are finally starting to acknowledge the damage done by animal products? Greenpeace's stance on veganism has been a bit of a question mark ever since the release and success of Cowspiracy, and it's triggered responses from Greenpeace saying they didn't want to feature in Cowspiracy for fear of misrepresentation. However, veganism is one of the biggest ways, if not the biggest way, to impact the environmental changes that Greenpeace are fighting for. So it's great to see them finally get on board and release a direct advocate tweet for the vegan lifestyle. More where that came from, please, Greenpeace. The US Senate has unanimously approved a major overhaul of the nation's primary chemical safety law. Why do we care about that? Well, this is a decision that is going to reduce the amount of suffering and torture done to animals that are used for testing within this industry. So they've approved the rewriting of the Act, the Toxic Substances Control Act, Bit of a bedtime reading there for you on that one, which governs and controls the way that animals are used within this industry. The Environmental Protection Agency who carry out this testing were previously required to do a cost analysis before doing any testing, presumably meaning that use of animals keeps the cost down. However, they won't have to do that anymore, and in fact, they'll be tasked with coming up with a plan on how to research, develop, and eventually implement more non-animal ways of testing these chemicals. This is hugely significant. This directive is likely to be one of the most far-reaching, influential directives ever released, ever passed by Congress. The Permanente Journal, a peer-reviewed journal of medical and social sciences, has recently published a guide on the benefits of plant-based diets and best practices for doctors. The guide outlines how beneficial the plant-based diet is at preventing and reversing disease by lowering intakes of carcinogens, of saturated fat and cholesterol found in animal products, as well as the increase of phytonutrients, antioxidants and other useful nutrients found in plant-based foods. Step-by-step advice is given within the guide on how doctors should establish a dialogue about nutrition with their patients, how they should transition their patients onto a vegan diet. It's pretty interesting, really, that doctors are only finding out about this information that those of us plant munchers have known about for quite some time. We've been recommending this stuff to our friends, our relatives, and those of us that do coaching. We've been recommending this for quite some time. And yet there are doctors with real-life patients in disease states that don't yet know this. So it's great that the Permanente Journal and other journals out there are now starting to release this information into the mainstream, into the authority areas, so that the plant-based diet can start to infiltrate into the way that doctors deal with their patients. And finally, well-known vegan snooker player Anthony McGill has won his maiden crown at the Indian Open. His recent success will see him jump 11 places to 17th in the world, and he regularly tweets and promotes the vegan doctors on his Twitter page, which really begs one more question. Is there anything the plant-based diet cannot do? It certainly worked wonders in my life, specifically on my skin and on the skin of those I coach. Look out for me here on YouTube or at xmahealing.org, where I do blog posts, make videos, one-on-one coaching specifically for skin health on the plant-based diet. Thanks again to the wizards here at Plant-Based News for having me on. Stay tuned for more exciting plant-based stories as we watch the world shift towards a plant-based existence.